Hi friends, and welcome to this session of logical reasoning. In this session, we would be covering seating arrangements. Right? Seating arrangement is a very important topic. Usually, you would see around 3 to 4 questions each year from this topic. There is a set of questions or there can be individual questions as well, right? So this topic is very important as far as our CSAT is concerned. You would get questions of around 10 marks from this topic. So without wasting any more time, let's see what we are going to cover in this session. So there are multiple type of problems in seating arrangement. One is the problem of linear arrangements, then there can be circular arrangements, and then there can be multiple parameters for arranging few things, right? In this session, we are going to cover linear arrangements. We would be covering circular and multiple parameter arrangements in another session. So let's go and understand what is linear arrangement. Linear arrangement means arranging in a line, right? So there are two types of linear arrangement, which is single row arrangement and multiple row arrangement, right? When we are doing single row arrangement, we are assuming that all of us are facing north, right? So when all of us are facing north, then left and right is according to our sensibilities. So my right is actually the right in which person is sitting, my left is actually the left in which person is sitting, right? So to put things in perspective, here it is D, right? If I am D, on my left there is B, on my right there is C, because I am facing north. If in a particular question it is said that we are facing south, right? So what we are facing is south, which means we are looking something like this, right? So my face is towards this arrow, which means what? If I am D and my face is downwards, to my left is C and to my right is B, right? But when there is nothing given of this sort, we assume that we are facing north, right? But there can be questions in which it is given that we are facing south, so we have to take cognizance of that fact, right? So this is the basic theory, that's it. For a single row thing, you have to be cognizant of left and right, and you have to be aware of where we are facing, right? These are the two basic fundas which you have to keep in mind, right? Now let's see how to solve a question. So question is usually asking you about the placement of few people, right? It gives you relationship, it gives you where a person is sitting with respect to another person, or where exactly is the position of that person in a particular row, right? And we have to determine the position of all others depending on the parameters, right? So let's see what first question says. It says AB, RX, SZ are sitting in a row. So these are 6 persons, AB, RX, SZ. They are sitting in a row. F and Z are at the center. So we make a 6 cell row. And F and Z are at the center. So we are reducing the complexity. When S and Z are center, S can be at third position or S can be at fourth position. Similarly, Z can be at third or fourth, right? So there are two cases till now, right? Then it says A and P are at the ends, right? So there can be a case where A here is here and P is here, or there can be a case where P, S, Z, S by Z, Z by S, and A is here, right? So these are the two cases. If you see, they become 4 cases, right? First case becomes A, S, Z, P. Second case becomes A, Z, S, P. Third case P, S, Z, A. Fourth becomes P, Z, S, A. P, S, Z, A, right? These are the 4 cases. Now let's see if we can reduce the cases further. It says R is sitting to the left of A. If we take this one, we cannot place R to the left of A. So this is the only true one. Let's cross this one. So this is not possible. We strike this one, right? We are only left with this. And finally, where X has to be? X is here, right? Now we have two cases which are left, PX, SZ, RA and PX, ZS, RA. These are the two cases. Let's write them separately. it would be P, X, Z, S, R and A. So these are the two possible arrangements of this problem. Now it's asking who is to the right of P. So we can see that X is to the right of P. If the question is who is to the left of R, we would say we cannot determine it, or if the option is either Z or S, we would pick that option because there are two possible arrangements, so there would be two possible solutions to who is sitting to the left of R, right? So you have to be aware of all the possible solutions in these kind of questions, right? Now let's go to a similar question which says A, B, C, D and E are sitting on bench, which means there are 5 people. A is sitting next to B, so A and B are together. C is sitting next to D, C and D are together. But we, at this point of time, we cannot say where A is, where B is, where C is and where D is, right? We don't know the exact position of any of these. So let's further read and see if we can fix position of a particular person or not. Further it says D is not sitting with E, who is on the left end of the bench, right? So this statement is the most important here, this one, that E is at the left end of the bench, right? Because with this we fix where E is, right? With the previous statements we are unable to fix where A and B are. We can only say that A and B are together, C and D are together, but we are unable to fix where A is, where B is, because we don't know. A can be on the first position, A can be on the second position, and with respect to A, B would be somewhere there, right? So this E is on the left end of the bench is the most important statement till now. The next statement is C is on the second position from the right. So C is from the on the second position from the right. So second position, first position from the left, right is this. Second position from the right is this. So C is on the second position from the right, right? Then it says A is to the right of B and E, right? Now AB has to be together, so A and B should be on second and third position, and it has further ascertained the position of A. It is to the right of B, right? And finally we are left with D. D is on the rightmost corner. If A and C are sitting together, even if this statement was not given, we would have deduced it, but he has given that A and C are together. In which position is A sitting? A is sitting third from the left, or A is sitting in the middle position. So this was an easy question. Now the complexity might increase, right? When I say complexity might increase, this means that number of cases would increase in certain examples, right? For example, in this example you would see that number of cases would increase to 5 or 6, right? What our task is to reduce the number of cases as far as possible, right? So it says there are 8 houses in a line, and in each house only one boy lives, with the following condition. So Jack is not the neighbor of Simran. Hari is just next to the left of Larry, right? So let's firstly reduce the names. So there is J, there is Simran S, there is a Harry H, there is a Larry L, and then there is a Paul, right? There is a Mike, then Robert, right? And Ted. So these are the indicatives which we are going to use in the problem, right? So J is not the neighbor of S. We cannot place J and S with this statement, right? So we would use this statement at a later point of time. Harry is just next to left of Larry. So Harry is left of Larry, right? Still we cannot use the statement. All we can say is H is left of L, right? So they are sitting something like HL, right? Something like a HL, right? Something like this they are sitting. There is at least one to the left of Larry, right? So this says what? This says Larry is not at the left hand corner. Paul is in one of the houses in the middle, right? So this statement we are going to use. So Paul is in one of the houses in the middle, which means, so again our table goes down, let's bring it up. It means Paul is at either fourth position or Paul is at fifth position, right? These can be two possible positions of Paul. Mike lives in between Paul and Larry. So Mike can be here and Larry can be here, or Mike can be here and Larry can be here. So these are two cases, right? We are firstly looking when Paul is at fourth position. So these are the two cases. What else is given about Larry? It is said that Harry is to the left of Larry, right? So if Paul is if this is the case, which is PML, we cannot place Harry here. So it has to be Harry, Larry, MP. So this is not possible, right? So we have now cut short the number of cases. Now here also it has to be M, L and H. So this is what we are still now confident of, right? So we have placed H, L, M, P. We still don't know about J, S, R and T, right? They are still not known to us. What we know is we have already used the fact that Larry is not at the left. So here it is not Larry. Larry has already been placed. So we have used third statement. This has already been used, right? So let's strike this. It's always good to strike the statements which we have already used. We have already used the second one, so let's strike this also. We have also used the fourth one. Strike this, so that you understand which statements are still to be used. And fifth you have also used, to strike the fifth one as well. So what is left is the first statement and the common statement, which says if at least one lives to the right of Robert, which means Robert is not on the right hand corner. So Robert is not here and Robert is not here, right? And Harry is not between Ted and Larry, right? So Ted cannot be here, right? In second case, Ted cannot be here. Then which of the following statements are not correct, right? So let's go to the statements and see which can be possible. Robert is not at the left. Can Robert be at the left? Yes, he can, right? So the arrangement would become something like this: J, T and S, right? Or it can be S, T and J, right? So if this arrangement is something like this, it is validating all the statements, and still Robert is at the left end. So this is possible. This is not a correct choice. Now let's go to the next one, which says Robert is between Simon and Todd, right? So can it be possible? It says Harry is not between Ted and Larry. So Ted can be here, right? Simran can be here, Simon can be here, R can be here, right? And finally J can be here. In this case, Robert is between whom? It is between J and S, right? We have to make Robert between T and S, right? Can we do that? Let's see. We can place Robert here, right? We can place T here, we can place S here, right? And we can place J here. So in this case, Robert can be between T and S, right? Can it be possible to place Robert between T and S in this case? Perhaps not, right? If we place Robert between T and S, let's place Robert here, S here, T here, and J here. So it is possible even in this case. So Robert can be between T and S. There is no problem in it. Now the next statement says Ted is between Paul and Jack, right? So Paul is here, Ted is between Paul and Jack, right? Now we know that R cannot be here, so R has to be here and S has to be here, right? So this is also possible, or this is it not? It says Ted is between Paul and Jack, right? Seems it's possible, right? Here if we do that, Ted is between Paul and Jack, right? So here it is not possible, right? We have to place R here, which is not possible. We have to place either S here, right? Which is also not possible because J and S are cannot be together, right? They are not neighbor, right? But we don't know which of the following is the right way, right? So we can say that in this case it is not possible, right? TJS is not possible. So this statement is false, right? Because in at least one of the cases it is not possible. When we are dealing with multiple cases, we have to see that it has to be possible in all the possible cases. So this is case 1, we have to check for this. This is case 2, we have to check for this as well. So we have to check for both the cases to say that it is true and it is valid for all the cases. Otherwise we cannot say that it is valid for all the cases, right? So we have seen that in case 2 it is not possible. So the third statement is false, right? So that's how we do these kind of questions. Now there are questions on multiple rows where there are two or more rows. Firstly, let's look at 2 rows, right? In this, the first row is sitting facing south, right? And second row is sitting facing north, right? So something like this. So for the second row, our analysis would be the single row, but for the first row, people would be facing south, so our analysis is just opposite. So for people facing north, that is row 2, D is to the left of E, right? And F is to the right of E. But here A is not to the left of B, A is to the right of B, and C is to the right of B, right? So you have to keep this thing in mind. Again, 2 facts you have to take care of. One is understand where they are facing and then place them according to their left and right positions, right? Let's go to a question and try to solve it using this. A, B, C, D, E, F are 5 men, right? Facing north, facing south. So men are sitting in this row. Let's put it M, E, N, and here women are sitting, right? So women are sitting facing like this and men are sitting like this, right? A, B, C, D, E are 5 men, M, N, O, P, Q are 5 ladies in the second row facing north. Now the statements are given. B, who is next to the left of D, is opposite Q, right? But we don't know right now positions of any of them, right? So we would not use this statement as of now. C and N are diagonally opposite, so C can be here, it can be C, N, or it can be C here and N here. So these are the 2 cases. Let's not write these 2 cases as of now. E is opposite to O, who is just next right to M. So O is just right next to M, right? Still we don't know where is M. Then it says P, who is just to the left of Q, is opposite to D. Still we cannot place it. The last statement says M is on one end of the line, so M can be here. If M is here, we can place O to the right? But if M is here, we cannot place anything to the right. So we can say that M is on the left hand side, right? Now we know the position of M, we know the position of O. Now we can determine the position of E as well, right? Because E is opposite to O. Now let's read the statements again, right? The first statement says B, who is just next to the left of D, is opposite Q. Still we cannot make anything out of it. E is opposite O, so we have used, let's cut the statements which we have used. We have used this statement, so let's strike this off. We have used the last statement as well, right? So we are left with 3 statements to determine the pattern. Let's look at the statement number 5, which says P, who is just to the left of Q, is opposite to D. Now we know that M is here, N has to be here, right? Because N and C are diagonals, so N is not here, so N has to be here, which means C is here. So we have also used this statement, right? Now we are left with fifth and second. Fifth statement says P, who is left of Q. So P is on the left of Q, right? Is opposite to D. So P is opposite to D, D is here, right? And B, who is on the left of D. So B is here because B is on the left of D, and it says is opposite to Q. So this is right placement, and A is here. So now using the statements, we have placed all of them, and we can solve any of the question based on these placements. So the most important thing is to put the placements right and to solve the questions using each statement. Here, which was the key statement? I would say 6th was the key statement, right? Because we were able to begin our question only with 6th statement when we placed M, right? 6th independently was not helpful, but 6th coupled with 4 was helped us to place M on the left hand side, right? So you have to just see which statements help us to place the first person. So we were able to place M first, and subsequently we were able to place N, and when we were able to place N, we were able to place C, right? So M and C were placed using 6, 4 and 3, right? When M was placed, we were able to place O. When O was placed, we were able to place E, right? Then using 5th statement, we placed P and Q. Then we placed D and B. And finally, only A was left, so we placed A on the empty space, right? So this is how we do this question. Now let's go to our last question, which is almost similar to the one which we have done. Here there are 3 rows, bench 1, bench 2, bench 3. It's not given that where they are facing, so we assume that all of them are facing north, right? And the question is not about placement, it is about something else. So in a class there are 7 students, including boys and girls. So there are some boys, some girls, A, B, C, D, E, F and G. They sit on 3 benches, 1, 2 and 3. So I have already numbered the bench 1, 2 and 3, such that at least 2 sit on each bench and at least 1 on each bench, right? So 2 sit on each bench, which means 2, 2 and 3, right? It can be 2, 2, 3, or it can be 3, 2, 2, or 3, yeah, it can be 3, 2, 2 or 2, 3, 2, right? So these can be arrangements. Now it says C who is a girl, so we would use our connotation of blood relations, where circle is for girls, square is for men, right, for boys. C is a girl, does not sit with ADE, so we don't know where to place C right now. F is the boy who sits with B, so if F is boy, then B has to be girl, right? So B has to be girl. Let's put a circle, use the question itself. So put a circle around B and a square around F. C is also girl, put a circle around it, so that when you are placing it, it becomes easy for you. A sits on bench 1, right? So A sits on bench 1, let's put A here, with his best friends, right? So A is his, which means A is also a man, right? A boy. G sits on bench 3, G sits here, right? It says F, the boy, sits with B only, so F and B has to be here, F and B has to be here, right? C cannot sit with ADE, so C sits here and DE sits here. So this is the arrangement. Final statement says E is brother of C. So again, E is male, C is, already we know C is a girl, right? So now if you look here, C is girl, right? B is girl, and we are sure that who else is girl? We are sure that E is male, B is male, so D has to be girl, because there is at least one girl on each bench. F is a boy. What we don't know is the gender of G. G can be a boy or a girl. Nothing is mentioned about G, so G can be a boy or a girl. So the question which was asked was how many girls are there? So there are 1, 2, 3. G can be either girl or boy. So there was a choice 3 or 4. So we would tick that. Either 3 or 4 girls were there, right? So if it is asked what is the gender of G, we would say cannot be determined, right? So this is how we solve the problems of seating arrangements, by using each statement one by one. The best way out is when you use a statement, just strike it off, so that you are not confused which statements are used and which are left, and it becomes very easy to solve these questions. The level of questions in CSAT are not very tough. If you pay attention to these questions, you would be able to solve all of them correctly, and you would be able to garner 10 out of 10 marks in these kind of questions. So this is all as far as our linear arrangements are concerned. We would be doing another video on circular arrangement and then the arrangements using multiple parameters. So till that time, I hope that you have enjoyed this video and you have understood the concept of arrangements. So that's it for today, and all the best for your preparations.